Hey everybody, welcome to the Two Comma Coffee Club. So if you haven't already, grab a drink, hashtag fill your cup, and make sure that you are also connecting with us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and of course in our Facebook group. And don't forget that we also have our Living in the End transcripts. You can find them at nevillegoddardsummit.com. So there's just a couple things that we have going on right now. But today we're going to talk about how to get unstuck when you're trying to manifest the thing you want. So this is a great topic because being stuck is really just you're imagining that you're stuck. And it's as simple as that. But it can really feel like a brick wall, right? It really hinders moving forward. So I just want to hear from you guys' experience where you found that and how you maybe overcame it and still got the thing you wanted.
I often get really stuck when I think I'm living in the end and I realize it's a middle.
Yeah.
And I think, damn it. You get stuck on the beginning of a wish rather than living in the end of that wish. And we've done 2 episodes of Living in the End, and that's why we've done our transcript on Living in the End, so that people don't get stuck. But I still get tripped up quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's because you can't. I always say you can't see the woods for the trees. You just got to get past that, and you've got to get out of your own way. Something that really stops me is this belief of oh my god, well, how could I get that? Like, do I deserve that? How on earth am I, just somebody little old me, meant to be able to, I don't know, drive that amazing fast car or whatever it is? Like, how do I get that? How am I meant to? And so I get stuck sometimes thinking about the how.
Yeah.
And not just living in the end, because you have all of these doubts come up because physically you don't see that it's possible in the physical world. But what Neville teaches is that absolutely anything is possible because you've already imagined it. And so anything from the imagination can show up in your reality, because imagination is the only reality.
And that's all it's been this whole time, right?
It's never been anything else. That's right. Consciousness is the only reality. Mm-hmm. So, one of the things that happens, there's an interesting incidents today. Someone saying, how her never fails. She always imagines and she manifests it, and then something happened involving her kid, and but really, I said, no, nothing. I wrote her back. I said, she's like, tell me what did I do wrong? It's like, no, you didn't do anything wrong. What happened is the situation that seems like it is the end of everything. It's not. Treat it like it's a middle. It's just a speed bump. So we hit these speed bumps and we think we've screwed up. We think our process is wrong. We're looking at the external world, the 3D, as this is it. This is done. It's the end of it, and you've messed up. You get an F on your manifesting. This is terrible. But it's not a pass-fail situation. It's just stepping back and noticing where you are. And personal example from very recently, when I was looking for I was in a situation where it was absolutely incumbent to move. I had to move house. And this goes back to the beginning of the year. And at first I said to myself, I want to actually go back to the idea of owning a place.
Yeah.
But the market was, everyone's, no, that's a good market for trying, for doing that in your price range, or that. So then something finally showed up that looked like it was going to be the answer, that it was going to be this lovely little condo, perfect price point. They were underselling it. It sounded great. But as I got more and more into the situation, it looked like it would end up needing a tremendous amount of renovation, and there were a lot of complications around it. And so the whole thing, which had started like it was in process, it just fell apart. And that left me with that feeling like, well, now what? But it really was only a speed bump. It was just part of that process. So when I relaxed back into it, that the cozy and charming place that I wanted, a very short time later, and even the circumstance resolved to where the prior landlord, was saying, I'll give you a week to week. We'll prorate your rent, your last rent week to week, just to help stimulate your being able to find something. So what could be more accommodating than manifesting that kind of support? Yeah. Then shortly after that, something I saw online, and the property manager called me up, and it sounded so good, and it was perfect. It was a rental, which I originally wasn't planning, but it was so strong.
You stuck.
Yeah, that was stuck right there. That was in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw it here.
Yeah, right. And it all worked out perfectly. And I'm very thrilled to having it turned out to be where it is, So you have to be a little understand that there's this kind of ebb and flow in the process. And again, it comes back to where Neville says, disregard the evidence of your senses that would appear to deny the fulfillment of your desire. And this is very, very key, because everything that your senses are reporting, whether it's your bank account, your balance, your debts, a situation, whatever it is, you have to step back from that. Like when Neville wanted to get out of the army, he was in the, and it, seemed like they wouldn't let him out, but he got out. And it was done in a way that was really a very easy way for him to get out of the army. So there were all kinds of situations, and we think, but when we think, okay, I'm stuck in this position, or my manifesting's failed, then all the gears start turning. Mm-hmm. And have you noticed how your mind starts trying to churn out solutions? It tries to churn out the how. It tries to churn out the who, the where, the what, all this crazy stuff. And then we end up at war. We start getting pissed off at ourselves that, I could have done that better, and that could have been better, and he could have said this.
I didn't do it right. Yeah, I didn't manifest this right. I'm not getting this.
Yeah. And people start going, then they start posting, what am I done wrong?
Right.
And there's nothing. There's nothing. It's just recognizing. It's more about recognizing where you are in the process. So I had to realize with the house, that I thought I was going to be good. Although there were little indicators, I kind of looked at certain things when I was going there, to that complex, looking around, saying, I'm not so sure about it. So maybe that kind of kicked in. But even if those doubts kicked in, I know that this is turned out way better. So we have to be willing to kind of, when we're in this seeming middle, is to let go of our conceptions. It's actually making us hold on to the middle tighter.
Right.
So I actually have a great example of this that ties into the usual things that I talk about. But a lot of people, if say leaving an abusive relationship, how do I live in the end of that? Right. And I'll say, just freaking leave. Well, yes, just leave. So that's living in the end. But when I think back to when I left, I knew without a doubt, it is a non-negotiable. I am out of here. I am never looking back. We are done here. Okay, so there's my end. So when I decided that, everybody and everything played its part. Now, was it what I would call hell during that time? Yes.
Yes. It's the
And my
same.
middle was hell because of the situation I was in. But I cannot help but see how everything just like unfolded beautifully. I went to my boss that one day when I had decided. She said, "You and the kids come stay at my house tonight. I'm going to take you over to this apartment place. We're going to get you at least find out about a house." I went over there. They had a 4-bedroom ready to go. They gave me the key that day. I had the air, because I was, in the Air Force at this time, and I was in Germany. So I don't have family. I don't have any of that over there. I'm by myself trying to leave. And I had the Air Force, because I had not used my move. We used at the time, my husband's move. So you get one time to be able to move where they move you. So since I still had a move, the Air Force packed my shit and moved me to my new place. So I didn't have to move myself. I was in a church at the time. This was a Southern Baptist church. If you know anything about Southern Baptist, me telling the pastor and the deacons that I'm leaving my husband usually is frowned upon, but they knew how bad the situation was. And they said, "What can we do to help get you out of there?" They kept him somewhere else while I got to get in the house and get what I needed and get out. The church did. And I got in my place, and my pastor and some of the deacons would take turns. I found out this after the fact, but they would take turns coming by my house and making sure that he was not sitting outside my house. And they caught him twice sitting outside my house. But all of this stuff was going on without me knowing. And I felt like I was in a safer place. And that's how it was. That was the how, right? That was what was going on. But I just knew I was in a better place. I was safe. I was here in my own place with my kids. And then, of course, get a restraining order. That went through. My leadership said, "Oh, absolutely, we'll get this restraining order. No problems at all." Because I was so focused on, I'm getting the hell out of here. This is never going to happen to me again. I'm not allowing this anymore in my life. And with that decision, it unfolded. And that was me living in the end. My end was that decision. And what I see people get stuck is they'll change their decision in the midst of a middle. They'll say, "This is hard." And their decision ends up being, "I'm going back to this because it's easier." And then they think, "Well, I was trying to leave, or I'm trying to live in the end." But they didn't realize that because there was a middle, and because they were focused on all the stuff happening in the middle, that they changed their decision. And that's what actually made it to where that did not manifest for them.
Well, there's an old expression, maybe you've heard it, and it goes, "The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know." No, I'm not saying, but this is what happens, because you'll suddenly go, or you think you want a better job, a different job. And you don't like your manager, your boss, your whoever it is that you spend the most time involved with in your job, right? And then some other opportunity comes up, and then you start to get cold feet a little bit, and you think, well, here I might be up for a raise, I might be this, I might be that. Right. So you suffer through. You decide to go. You backtrack, yep. And it's the same as what you're saying. They actually try to change it in the middle of the middle. So
yeah,
speak.
Yeah.
Right. And
vision sets the trajectory.
Yeah, because it seems like it's too hard. If that's the case, then they are making it too hard. The idea is ease, that it's easy, right. That it's simple, that it's not going to strain your brain to manifest this. It's meant to be that easy or that simple, but people don't trust that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people also, when they're stuck in the middle, is because they think it's hard, they go into a state of avoidance. And so they actually don't move forwards. They don't keep walking their bridge. They do just remain stuck. And so what they manifest is more of the same, because they're not facing that head on. And I really, we're redoing our dream driven day group at the moment, and there was something that come up. We were doing we were doing lesson 1 the other day, some of us in the group, and 20 said something about engage or just do it. And actually, I've realized, with regards to my abusive relationship that I was in, yes, I know that I manifested certain things for it to repeat. However, when I realized it was done, like you said, and everything happened exactly to work out that he left that very day. Damn right he did, because I woke up and I decided there and then. It was like lightning struck.
Mm-hmm.
But for so long, I've been in a state of avoidance. And so until I learn, and I actually, there comes a time when you fear gets in the way, and there is that fear of belief. What you worry about what others might think of what you say.
Mm-hmm.
You worry about whether or not it's you, and that your mind's totally fucked up, that that it's not really as bad as you feel that it is.
Mm-hmm.
You go through all of these fears, self-doubts, and so you get stuck in a state of avoidance. And these last couple of days for me, I'm like, oh my fucking God, what have I been doing? What have I been doing? And actually, our session last week, and things that have come back up in the dream driven day for me, have woke me up. And so 20 said engage or just do it. Well, actually I'm going to do both. I have to engage in order to sort it out. So I have to engage with people. I have to, instead of avoiding, I have to engage. And I have to just do it now. There is no going back. This needs to be dealt with. It needs to be done. And so I am now making that done happen.
Yeah. And a non-negotiable, right?
Yes, I'm done. And what's really funny is, since I've made that decision, there have been several offers of help already.
Yeah.
That are all pushing me that way. And it was really funny, because I was at a client's house today in my day job, and I was having a chat with her, and she turned round and she said to me, Michelle, this is non-negotiable. She said, there are times when you can imagine lovingly for others. Right now, fucking concentrate on you.
Hey, listen, me and my mom were talking about this the other day, and this is why I think it'd be great to have my mom on, because she, oh my God, to see the dynamic and how we've changed and how she has changed just by learning more about just herself, right? And we were talking about this, and there was something I basically was allowing something to interfere before I made a decision, right? So that's what happens, is you don't realize, well, money is a huge one for that. Well, I can't have the thing because I don't have the money for it. You're putting the money before the thing. So that's not living in the end of having the thing. You live in the end of having the thing, the money comes. So, it seems ass backwards from the way that we've like functioned.
Well, the way we're wired, yeah.
That's how it is. That's literally how it is. And I I got angry about something. Now I've told y'all I have a feisty state that I get into. And every once in a while that feisty state turns to anger, like where I'm mad. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm mad.
Yeah.
I don't take it out on anybody. And I'm not taking it out on myself, but it lights a fire in my ass. And I remember that same pastor I was just talking about a little bit ago. I remember he told me, because obviously I was very angry about the situation. I'm like, how could somebody treat me like this? And I'm blind to it. And he told me, he goes, anger, God gave you anger for a reason. It's an emotion that needs to be there. And I was like, anger, I was thinking of my abuser's anger. That why would that serve anything? But he's like, no, your anger, because you're angry, you are going to take the next step.
That's right. It makes you move.
It puts a fire in your booty to move.
Yes.
And that's really what it is, right?
That's what's happened for me, because I had a very sleepless night and I thought, fuck, why am I letting this control me? And I got really angry, and that was it. I was like, I even shouted it out loud just so everyone could hear, I'm fucking done.
Yeah. And then you move.
And then you move.
You don't even feel angry anymore.
The classic line, I think it was from Network, a classic movie, where the guy he's on the air as a newscaster, I think, and he says, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Yeah. And then he gets people saying it, all over the place.
But that's
very
it.
famous scene. And this is exactly it. So really what happens is that it's you can label it anger, but you're really kind of moving on that energy that's propelling you forward. Yeah.
Yes.
So think of, like you might say, well, Jesus driving the moneylenders from the temple or something like that, something that you see, I'm mad as hell. He was mad. He took it, out. And that's what starts to propel you forward. Even the Dalai Lama of Tibet. So we're going to look at an Eastern spiritual figure, Tibetan, Buddhism, which normally you think of, anger. No, it's not,
right.
It's like, no, you never practice anger. You sit and you go in a cave and get out of it. But no, he's talked about, he calls that righteous anger. It's a sort of way that you're using your anger on the path of what's called dharma or right action. So, if you're careful not to justify, you want to be sure it's for something that you really want to have it for. Right. That it's really an important thing, but that it's not so that it comes back against you. It's that it moves you through and out. So if it does show up, it's part of living in the end. It's saying, it's 20 saying, don't never settle. You're going to soar. So you can replace that with I'm soaring rather than I'm in that anger state. I'm in the state of soaring. You're moving outward. You're moving away from that. So that's kind of where I see that.
Yep. And I like what you said, because that is the difference between the anger I experienced, that he would be angry with me and then it would escalate to abuse, versus my anger of propelling my ass forward.
Yes.
Right? We can acknowledge there's a difference there. And when you realize that difference and you realize and you notice, oh, I'm feeling angry. First of all, let yourself feel angry, because what happens, you try to suppress that. Oh no, it's wrong to feel angry. I'm supposed to be spiritual.
Yes.
What the hell? Get angry. Jesus flipped over tables. Like, hello, we talked about this in the Bible. Get it, right?
Exactly.
Allow it. And then it just subsides, because it actually lights that fire in your ass towards something. And then you don't feel angry. You're like, well, wow.
Yeah. And it's wow. Now, if we can look back at our, this kind of loops back, and I think Michelle will also get into our last show about control and being a pleaser, where we talked about if you feel powerless, then that, then you try to move that powerless feeling, or that you've been a pleaser, and it's you've lost all your power. All you're trying to do is please the situation, and it's just a bottomless pit of trying to please, and it goes nowhere. And so all of that gets recycled back or repurposed as control, because you feel you're powerless, and you'll try to use control in other ways to feel that you have a grip on your life.
Yeah, as I said in the reel that I did on Instagram, that actually for me, this last week's session, and me actually using, I hid, this is what gets you stuck, is you get in a state of hiding as well. And so hiding avoidance, and I was hiding behind this because I didn't, for some reason there is a feeling of feeling ashamed about it, and I didn't want to come out, and I was scared that what if he saw this video. That's not going to happen. But or what if one of his relatives do? What if? And so then you're living in your imagination, and actually you need to cut that crap out. And if you realize, we did the hiding the episode with Kathy Chase about smoking and how bad she feels coming out of hiding, and that came up for me yesterday when I was thinking about things. I was like, oh my God, when she was talking about smoking, there is no difference, there is no big or small manifestation. And actually the abusive relationship I experienced is exactly the same as her feeling ashamed of smoking. It's exactly the same. But the second you come out of hiding, actually the control that you've placed on it no longer exists.
Yeah.
And so therefore you're more, you become empowered, and it makes you move, and the end that you want, for all day I was like, oh my God, and I'm very aware that this is part of my bridge. This is my middles, and I'm very aware that I'm on the right track because I already know my end. Because all of this is happening now so easily.
Right. So you know that these are all bridges.
Yes.
Because you've already
Steps of the bridge
about the end that you're going to maintain.
And
so yes.
And a lot of that because I knew I was done, and it's not an affirmation as such, but it's a confirmation. I say to myself, it's already taken care of.
Well, if it's a confirmation is like a sign, but as Neville also always has said, signs follow. They're not.
To me, it's a knowingness of knowing it's already taken care of.
It's done. Yeah, exactly right. You see, because otherwise what happens, what came up, the phrase that sort of came up in my mind is, when we have that fear, oh, what if the ex sees this? You know what we're doing? We are self-blackmailing. We are emotionally blackmailing ourselves, because it's like, oh, if this side of me is shown, what's the consequence going to be? I have to suppress it.
Yes.
I have to suppress it. So you're under that. You've threatened yourself in a sense, because there isn't anybody else out there. Really, it's if you're in consciousness and recognizing there's no secondary cause, there's nothing else out there in that 3D world, that shadow world, so then you can let go of all that.
So something funny happened a couple weeks ago. So I have a Facebook page. I have over 5,000 followers, and it's my Healing from Narcissistic Abuse page. So I sent an invite out to all my Facebook friends who had not liked my page yet. I forgot that I added my ex-husband to my Facebook friends list a couple months ago. So guess who also got the invite to my page about
him?
Let me tell you, talk about ripping the Band-Aid off on what he thinks. I was like, oh, fuck. And then I'm like, oh, well, you know, he never liked the page, but I'm like, oh, well, it's out there. I mean, what am I going to do now? I couldn't even uninvite him. So
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever.
Actually, so you truly have moved then, because from where you were to being Facebook friends with your ex-husband.
Right. Yes. Yes. Because he was lost for a long time. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. No, I guess I should say, so all of this happened in 2014. So it's 2021. I've obviously done a lot since then. And our dynamic is 100% different, like completely. The man knows he gets nowhere with me. Like there's no arguments, to the point where the other day he was sending me pictures. Because I like giraffes, and he knew that. Obviously, he was married to me, and he saw a giraffe mailbox wherever he moved to, and he sent a picture of it to me. That's what friends would do. And it was such a different vibe from him. It wasn't oh, I'm thinking of you, trying to control kind of thing. He's like, I saw this. Isn't that a weird mailbox? And I'm like, yeah, like I wouldn't even have that. But like, it was like a friendly, right? And because we co-parent too. But you can completely change the dynamic between someone who has put you through hell and been in a terrible situation where I had to get two restraining orders, like twice, just to show you how bad it was, to where we can text and it's cordial and it's no problem, to where I'm going to drop the kids off with him this Saturday so he can spend the month with them, and I'm not triggered by just seeing him. You know, things like that. I've completely changed that dynamic, and you can too. It's doable. You just have to know what end that you want. I had children with him, so I wanted a cordial, civil relationship. I don't want to be best friends, but it needs to be painless and peaceful. And that was my end goal, and that was a non-negotiable. Now, if we didn't have kids, I would have been like, dude, never have to see your ass again.
Yeah.
But I obviously know that I cannot do that. So I'm like, how can I make the best of this situation and also make it a non-negotiable for myself? And it is, I couldn't ask for any better, to be honest.
So this is what people need to do at home as well, is when they're feeling stuck, is they need to be firm in the knowing of a non-negotiable.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what it is they're wanting to manifest. It's non-negotiable. You've already got this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly right, you know, and not to worry about, you know, because if there are people who are perpetually, we've all fallen into this, you know, worrying about the how, but that kind of worry, but because the tendency is to worry. So that piece is what's also been called praying for the worst possible outcome. So if you're going to focus on the worry end, you're going to not be really in the real end that you want, because you're looking at all kinds of possibilities all the time, and so you have to double down where it is non-negotiable, and not try to change anything midstream, and just be in that place. And if you feel it, you know, it's getting a little wobbly, go back and get quiet, get into that. Yes. Get into your I am state. So this is regardless of whatever else.
Just
right?
Be still. First principle.
Yeah, come back to your first principle, and just listen tune into that, and get quiet enough that you can then return to that state and keep it very simple. Keep it to that one scene, or distill it down, you know, go right down to that key point and just go with that. And the more you can get into that, to drop it into that feeling, then the easier it gets. So you have you want to be in a state of trusting that feeling is okay. Yeah. You don't need anyone's permission to feel that feeling. You know, you don't need to ask, you know. So
I think a really good thing to do is to work on your status. because I mentioned this in our Dream Driven Day group. So we've talked before about how I need a new home. I'm in a small 3-bedroom house, 1 bathroom with 4 children. And so we're in need of a bigger home. And so in my imagination, I know it's already done.
Right.
But the things that show up for me is my son on the royal throne every morning with his sisters trying to bang the door down, going, "Get out that toilet!" And I'm thinking, okay, this is knocking my living in the end here. I know that the house ain't big enough right now. Or I had a big fridge freezer, and my kitchen table is near my fridge freezer, and every time I opened the door to that freezer, it would smack into the chair and table, and I'd have to shove the chair and table down, and I'd get really frustrated thinking, why haven't I got a bigger house?
Yeah.
And so in the physical, I get daily reminders that yes, I haven't got my house yet. But and honestly, it's really hard work at times, because I believe it's hard work because the kids are so frustrated and so on top of each other. And it comes to a point of status where you think, actually, I'm already there, and you have to show up. It's about showing up for yourself and knowing, with this attitude, I always give the attitude of Abdullah, that you slam the door and you know that you're already there, because you feel like, God, I've been waiting so long for
Yeah.
this.
And that should piss you off. There's where some anger will light a fire in your ass, where you're like, that's enough. That is enough. I'm tired of hitting the fucking table when I open the fridge. I'm tired of the kids fighting over the bathroom. We're doing something about this. I'm done.
Yes, I shout,
The
I'm done.
difference that would move your ass. What is the next step? Find it. It's here. We're going. We're doing this.
Yeah, see?
Sometimes these things are like, actually, those, the
People
thing you need
experience
is right
this all
there.
the time.
Yeah. And that it's right there. And,
Yeah.
And then you got to just say, okay, I'm just going to, this is coming to me. Just connect to that and see it. That's all you want to really do, is just be open to seeing it.
Yeah, true. It's about deciding and truly knowing what it is that you desire as well, because you can get stuck on that. And I remember, I've got a 7-seater car. I need one with the 4 kids and the dog. And before I had the 7-seater, I had a little standard small 1.4 Honda. It was, and for so long, I thought, God, I need a bigger car, but how am I going to afford that? Or what am my credit rating at the time wasn't great. I don't think I couldn't get a loan. I couldn't get something on credit. How was I going to get this bigger car? And it actually just got to the point where I was just like, I'm having a new car. That's it.
Yeah.
And actually, I applied to my bank and I got the bank loan, and the money was in there by the next morning, and it was like that. And I thought, how? I didn't even think I could get this, because it just happened. And I went out that weekend and I got my new car. It happened so quickly. And so when people get stuck in knowing what their desire is, when you're not stuck and you make that decision, that's it. It's like, okay, right, well, you've made your decision. You're living in your end because you've made that it's non-negotiable, and everything happens so that it does.
Yeah. So are you stuck? Are you ever really stuck? And that was the point of this, is you're not stuck.
Yeah.
It's impossible really, to be stuck. So it's a feeling of being stuck. That's the thing. We look at our circumstances. It comes back to whatever appears to stand in your way, or would appear to deny what you want, but that's an illusion. that there is nothing out there or around you that would it's just that we are giving power to being stuck. We're giving power to the thing or the person or the car or the whatever that's wrong or the house that's too small to hold us in place.
You're living in the end of being stuck. So no shit.
That's
Exactly.
the end right there. Right.
That's your
Permanently
end.
stuck.
That's what I'm saying. And it's a state, isn't it? And so you've just got to, it's just about shifting. And when we say emotions don't come into it, anger and stuff that make you move, they do come into it because it's deep. You feel that within. It's like when I get that angry, that's in my pit of my belly, and by God, you'd better get out of my way.
Yes.
Because nothing is stopping me now. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. So it's kind of waking up from the fact, you see, this is being as slim as what David Breslow, when he was on the summit talking about, being, are you awake or are you asleep? Those 2 points. And he's talked about that, I think, with us too, on this show. That those are the 2 things that he usually asks his clients. Are you awake or are you asleep? And this is the key thing. So if you're in that stuck state and believing that that's where you are and you're stuck, that's the Sleeping Beauty is sleep. That's what Rose Lawrence, Dr. Rose talks about. Wake up. This is you're not in that situation you think you're in.
There is another way of getting stuck, and that is because you believe that it's got to happen a certain way.
Yes.
Because your concept of it happening to you means that it can only happen that way. But if actually you step back and take that meaning away, because it doesn't mean anything, and it unravels, how many times have all of us have got so many stories about how you've manifested something because you've lived in your end, and that everything come about, and you couldn't have imagined those bits,
right? Yeah.
How it happened, because it just conspires that it just unravels itself. It's because you've imagined and felt and lived in your end that everything else falls into place. There's a quote from Neville, and I can't quite place it, but it's about people conspire to fulfill your desire for you. Yeah, I can't quite, but yeah, and it does. It's amazing.
And it unfolds in a way that makes you think, oh, this would have happened anyway.
Exactly, totally natural. Right. I was talking to somebody yesterday briefly about my situation, and her friend was standing there who I knew, and she turned around and she said to me, "I work for a lawyer firm. What do you need?" And you think, how did that show up?
Yeah.
And that just happens.
So you can't possibly be stuck, right? Because it's going to draw all the players to you. And,
yes, exactly.
And here's another one that's very, very tricky for people to understand as part of this. A lot of times people feel, oh, if I want this particular end, such and such is going to be hurt in a certain way, or it's going to have a negative impact on such and such thing. And, Neville says, when you have faith in the unseen reality, it is the thing that is going to do whatever it has to do to bring about. That's what you're talking about.
This is it.
The people playing the part.
They have to play their part.
And if
the world's a stage.
If something seemingly negative happens to somebody, it's not because you're not the one who caused it. It's something that they kind of manifested in the process.
It was just meant to happen that way. That's it.
Yeah, and meant to happen, So this is, this is the understanding. So he basically says not to feel bad, not to feel guilty, not to feel hurt, worried about it,
Yes.
and that's the thing. That's
but he talked about somebody needed to manifest a large sum of money or something to set up their business, for example. And so they lived in their end, and what happened was a relative passed away and left them the money, and so they used that for their business, but then they felt guilty, feeling that they were responsible for their relative's death. And actually, no, you were living in your end, they were living in their end, and it was just meant to happen that way. You have we don't have control over that person.
That's right, because you don't know what they were manifesting that drew that situation to them for you to get, that's exactly why the unseen reality is doing what it does. So you can't worry, you may have feelings about it, but you have to kind of just know that it wasn't something that you're responsible for, and that you're not going to get hauled off in the middle of the night because of it, or to feel guilty or sad about it, that's
right.
That reminds me. So, and I brought this up to you guys, was I was having somewhat of a disturbance with a neighbor friend, and
I remember this.
So I looked at it as, what do I want? And I realized for myself personally, because I'm very family oriented and I enjoy doing things with my family, I like having friends nearby, but I also like them not so close to where it's a constant. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I like my space with my family. I want to have family time. And then, like, I want to go hang out with my friends. And so in that, when I accepted that, because I was feeling so bad, like, I must be a terrible person for feeling this way. Like, this is a friend, but things that I was allowing to happen were driving me bonkers, and so, and I was having some of that people pleasing shit that we talked about last week, and I'm like, I have to resolve this, and I obviously have to resolve it with myself, because I don't like how I'm, whatever fucking state it was, I'm like, I don't like this one.
Whatever it is, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it. So I just decided, you know what? However this plays out, it's going to be okay. It's going to be perfect for her, and it'll be perfect for me. And seriously, within a week, she's like, we're putting our house on the market and we're going to find somewhere to move. Well, she just moved last week, and she's only 40 minutes away from me. So it's not like she's forever away. I'm never going to see her again. But now it allows that time that I was talking about, like, cool, like, we can plan a day and then go spend the day together, and then that's enough for the week for me. And I like that. And then simultaneously, I was having the same issue with my grandma, and around the same time, my grandma's like, I'm going to be finding an apartment. I need more space. And so it works out for her too, and then allows me that same thing. I can't have family living with me. I can't have friends living too close and needing me all the time and needing my attention when I have a family. And then I don't need my family, like not my immediate family, but like grandma, mom, like, we need our space from each other, people. Okay.
Okay.
But
I live 4 hours away from mine. I think that's enough.
But see, But see, there's no, you don't have to feel the guilt. Oh, I'm kicking
Right.
Granny out. It isn't
Yeah.
that, it isn't that.
And
So,
and that's what she came up with was, hey,
that she wanted it. Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm like, wow, because I decided I'm not going to hurt them by choosing myself here. Literally, both of them were like, I'm ready to go somewhere else. I'm like, wow.
When it comes to friends and family, this is another thing of getting stuck. And that's when you allow them to influence your decisions based on their experiences or their preconceived beliefs. Because a lot of people do get stuck on wondering what other people are going to think of them, what they're
Yes.
going to say. And there's a lot of, I mean, even in with like my teenagers, I noticed they want to do something, but with peer pressure, they are influenced to go and do something else. Like, I don't know, it can be as simple as they want to go to the coffee bar in town together. That's what she wants to do. And somebody then in their friendship group says, I don't want to do that. I want to go down to the river and hang out at the river. And so they sacrifice what they really want to do for the sake of another. And then my kids come home and they complain that they had a terrible day because they didn't go do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, with teenagers, you've got the influences of smoking or what's taking drugs, whatever the peer pressure is. And then when you're as an adult, you still are many adults are still very much concerned with what other people think of them and about their status and their lifestyle, that they should have this, that they should have that.
Yeah.
And there's that influence there of somebody else. Whereas if you're living in your end, then none of that shit matters.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's right. That's right. So that's the other thing is to notice that where you're being pulled, whether, when you start going along with things and something inside you says, I really shouldn't be, this doesn't feel right to me, but you do it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's when you're not in that congruent place, you might say.
You're killing your own desire.
Yeah. You're killing your own desire.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're short circuiting it. So yes, that's right. So it's these are all like little, checklist things that you can do to notice if you're starting to fall out of your state, or if you're starting to squash your desire or get stuck in the middle, or or any of that. So it just builds that awareness.
Yeah. Stop adding meaning to stuff.
Oh, that's the other thing.
There's another checklist. Yeah.
Another thing is that you're adding meaning.
We could
what
create.
If I said this? What if that? Yeah.
We could create a checklist for people.
Absolutely.
That would be really good.
Take a poll. Would you like a checklist? It's like that's it. So
hey, if they subscribe to our email, we could send them the free checklist on getting
exactly
unstuck.
Right. Right. We'll send you the free checklist on getting unstuck. I love it. So yes, this is exactly right. And then that it's that's when you start to see how fast, because the other thing, of course, is we know we're always manifesting, but it's when it starts to appear that we're manifesting stuck, we're manifesting a middle, we're manifesting the illusion of an end we didn't want. So this is or confusing an end with a speed bump. That it's really a speed bump. It's not the end.
Yeah. And if people want to look more into what middles and bridges are, they ought to go and look at our episode we did with Jerry and Mika, because that focused all on that. And Jerry's just, I mean, we're going to have Jerry on and have him on for a lot longer, because at the time we were only doing half-hour slots.
That's right. Yeah, it'd be fantastic to have him back. So yes.
Yeah.
So yes, and while we're at it, if anyone in our audience would like to be on the show with us and talk about their experiences or challenges in manifesting, let us know. Drop us a DM at Two Comma Coffee Club on Facebook, or put it in the comments, or let us know. And or you can email us at twocommacoffeeclub@gmail.com, and put the word out. We'd be happy. You might be on with us the next time. So,
or we could, if they don't ever want to come on, we could always do a Q&A session.
Exactly. Send us your
And
questions. Yeah.
And we could discuss what they want us to chat about for them.
Oh,
that
definitely.
would be really good. We could dedicate a whole session to that, or maybe we could do it in a Facebook Live.
Oh, absolutely. Send us your questions, and we'll dive in. It'd be great.
Oh yeah, I'd look forward to that.
Well, awesome. Well, this was great. This was great, because I think it'd be very helpful for people who especially just feel stuck all the freaking time.
Absolutely. And Lynette, and you've got your workshop. And before we finish for this episode, let people know about your upcoming event that you have happening in July.
Yeah, so July 10th, I'm doing an event. It's a virtual event. I'm probably going to go about an hour and a half or so, just to answer any questions that you may have. But the topic is the Great Escape, leaving abuse and entering freedom. And just like I talked about in this episode, where, I explained getting out of the situation and how everything played out for me, and how I've changed the dynamic completely with the abuser, right? So that's the freedom in that. So it's going from leaving to all the way to having it the way you want. And if that means never talking to the person again, then that's what that looks like. If it looks like just having a peaceful civil relationship, then that's what it looks like. And so it's a workshop, so there will be a workbook involved too to help guide you in your own specific way that I may not be able to address. But either way, it will be very valuable information for those who are either trying to leave an abusive relationship, or they're in the middle of leaving and they need to see that there's freedom on the other side of this.
And what website, what would be a place they would go to register or find it? And we can post that. I'm sure that's after, when we post this show, but
yeah, it's all under my stuff. So under yellowstarlife.com, if you go to live workshops, it will be under there. But you'll probably see my posts around talking about it. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I think it's just going to help, because it brings a different and unique perspective to situations like that. Because I think there's a lot of information out there, and it's great, but in order to reach that freedom, we have to free you from victim state, so that we can ensure it never happens to you again. Non-negotiable. So yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
Good. All right.
Good one, ladies.
Yes.
It was good. Great.
Remember,
fun.
You can keep track of us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and then in our Facebook group, Two Comma Coffee Club. And feel free to email us, leave a comment. We'll be posting a survey. So like Valerie brought up about, if you want to be on the show, there's a quick survey you can also fill out in addition to emailing us, and I'll have that linked for us. Yeah. And thank you for everybody who's already filled it out and is interested. We're excited to see what else we got coming up. So yeah, that's all from us. So finish your drink, have a great day, and we'll be on next week.
Bye.
Bye.